Former TV booker explains that this is a major issue for network TV. CNN just removed a far-right panelist for a racist remark as progressive commentator Mehdi Hasan. This was the right decision, but as a former TV booker, what happened is a part of a much bigger problem. Before going independent, I used to be a producer on The Hill. Like all mainstream media shows, we were constantly trying to have a balanced panel discussion, but we always had a problem. It was very difficult to find Republicans who weren't crazy. Frequently, my colleagues would book right-wing commentators, and as someone who'd come out of conservative media, I often had to review them before they were put on air. More than a few times, people who were alt-right activists were booked before I removed them. Other times, we couldn't find anyone who was actually qualified to talk about the news of the day in a non-frothing manner. We had people offered who had made racist remarks, people who had stalked women, etc. The Republican media, meanwhile, made zero attempts at balance. We also had several commentators who expressed Christian supremacist ideas. The biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action in media are Republican commentators. That's true. The MSM are desperate to find anyone who can engage in civil dialogue without filibustering or collapsing into bigoted rants. This is why you often see the same Republicans everywhere. Republican elites have a huge quality problem on their side, but they don't care to do anything about it. That's because they realize that engaging in informational hygiene would shrink their very unstable coalition. They've chosen extremism and never get called on it. And it's true. Anyway, the mainstream media needs to stop platforming dishonest and bigoted Republicans. America needs to hear what the far-right thinks, but we don't need to hear their bigotry and trolling. Reporters can present these views and their significance. We don't need these bigots. Until CNN and other outlets return to the regular standards, they're going to keep having their right-wing commentators engage in self-destructive acts. Remember the imploding of Jeffrey Lord, Ed Martin, and Corey Lewandowski? These people keep horribly tarnishing the CNN brand. The hard reality is that Republicans are so far from center that they cannot engage in civil debate. The viewers would be better served by ending the right-wing food fights. We also don't need fictitious Republicans who lie constantly either, like Ronna McDaniel. CNN's Republican chief executives clearly are behind these recent Republican affirmative action hires. They suppose that having more right-wing droogs on air will get Republicans to flip away from Fox, but this will never work. For every Fox bot tuning in, they lose 2 disgusted viewers. And just closing on the root of Ryan Jerdowski, he is a full-on racist and radical Christian supremacist who was written for racist activist Richard Spencer, a fucking Nazi, an out-and-about Nazi. He has been running on Operation to block black and LGBT authors from school curricula. He should have never been on CNN. The irrational both sides fetish has created a dynamic where it is more controversial to call a fascist what they are than it is for Republican politicians to praise Hitler like Trump and Mark Robinson do. Calling a Nazi is more controversial than being an actual Nazi. What the actual fuck? Ben Shapiro defended him on X. Imagine if someone had made a joke about October 7th directed at him on his platform. The hypocrisy is crazy. Yes. Yeah, from writing for Richard Spencer to appearing on CNN, what a glow up for Ryan Jerdowski. Congrats to all involved.